Sarah should be here for
The nonprofit.
the 6 o'clock.
Whenever this is over.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order and ask Ms. Hinchy if she'll call roll, and then we'll introduce our new member.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Chris Bryant,
Here?
Commissioner Robert Sandoval,
Here.
Ann Scheckman,
Present.
Jennifer Duke, Iris Green, welcome Iris,
Present.
Lee Willman, here, Michael Lusk, Laura White,
Here.
and Shelley Wynn. So we're missing a couple of people, but we do have a quorum.
Good, thank you. And Ms. Iris Green is our newest member on this committee, and I'd like to give her a couple of minutes maybe to introduce herself and maybe tell us a little about herself.
My name is Iris Green. As you've already said, I like to introduce myself as like a flower garden because my last name is Green, like the color, but with an extra E at the end, you know, grass. I've been a resident of Clovis since September 18th of 2015, and we've had a great time here. I've had 2 children already graduate from Clovis High School. I have another one who is doing the college program, so she'll graduate with an associate's degree and then her high school diploma. I work for Clovis School District. I work in the technology department. Feel free to get my number. You can send me text messages or call me and I'll help with any technology I can. Let's see, I am prior service Army. I served for 5 years as a network switching systems operator maintainer, just a bunch of nerd jargon really. Phone switching kind of concept, like the old switchboards. And then I also built databases in computers for phone lines and stuff. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
Well, great, welcome.
Welcome to the
Glad to have
board.
you here.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we'll move down to number 3, which is the election of chairperson and vice chair. Being that the chairman has to be a city commissioner, I guess I'll continue to chair this committee.
Narrows it down real quick.
But we will move on to our vice chair position and open that up for nominations from the floor for this position. So would anybody like to be vice chairman? Don't everybody talk at once.
So remember that the vice chairman of the library board serves as the chair of the nonprofit corporation that meet once a year. If that changes your inclinations at all.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to serve as vice chair with the condition that I will be retiring from the county commission on December the 31st.
Okay, okay. I think we're all, if I go with that, okay? I guess all in favor of Commissioner Sandoval being vice chair of the library board, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner. Move down to the approval of the minutes of April the 25th. Hopefully everybody's had a chance maybe to look those over, and if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the minutes.
Okay, we do have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Down to new business is discussion and action regarding appointing a new member to the nonprofit board. Since Commissioner Sandoval is now chairman of the nonprofit board,
I think that's fine then. We don't need another new member.
we don't need, that's all, okay, that's all we need. That's done. Move down to B, which is update regarding the Valley Trench, which is almost complete.
It's a project that never ends, that goes on and on and on. So with the landscaping project and the Valley Trench project, the landscaping project that was started in 1900 will be done in just a matter of days. So the landscaping project, for those of you that, for Iris, who is new, and for Laura, who I don't know if you remember, was started in 2018. I was going to redo the whole south lawn, make it beautiful, make it maybe have a podium for a place where we can have stage stuff, maybe some seating. COVID hit. The city commission gladly let me carry over money again and again. So finally the project was reduced from about 40,000 to about 20,000, and with that money, I landscaped or trimmed all the trees on the south garden, and then I was going to do something with those 2 islands in the front. And it became very apparent that there was a problem with the area between the 2 islands. When it rains, they accumulate water. So I was able to use a majority of the money left to create a valley trench that goes from 8th Street to 7th Street, so that when it rains, it won't puddle up between those islands. That project, what I believe, was finished this morning. They did a little more excavation work to make it, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. And then with the 2 islands, the 4 trees were taken out, the stumps were ground out, and they were replaced with 3 desert willows. They look kind of scrawny now, but I think they will be okay. And that will complete this project that has gone on and on and on. Yeah,
I did notice Nick Grego and Sons working on that this morning.
yeah, they got
Looked
here a
like
little
it
after
was
6, yeah.
almost completed.
Yeah, and it'll be fine. I think the desert willows, they look kind of scraggly now, but I think once they take root, in 20 years, they're going to be real pretty. In 5 years, I think they'll be pretty.
Well, it's gonna be nice that we have drainage and that
Right.
water doesn't puddle
Right,
in the parking lot,
right.
so that's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
Okay, under reports, report on the victim memorial funds.
So after the incident in 2017 for Laura and Iris, if you aren't aware, the chamber collected over $60,000. About $30,000 was given to the library and not to use for whatever we want, but to use an advisement to make sure those funds were distributed well. So the first thing that I did, and I of course went to the library board and they approved all this. The first thing I did was I had portraits of both Chrissy and Wanda painted by Mrs. DeMaio for the amount of $3,600, and they're framed and hanging around the fireplace in the library. Then I gave $1,000 to each of the area high schools, which include Clovis Christian, Clovis High School, Grady, Melrose, and Texaco, to do whatever they want. Melrose redid their whole children's elementary library. I was invited to go see it. It was popping with color. Clovis Christian bought new books. Clovis High School bought new hardware and software. So they could use it for whatever they wanted, but I thought $1,000 was appropriate because so many of these kids had come to listen to Chrissy read stories. Then I was able to donate to Clovis Community College Foundation money for scholarships, and there were scholarships given for 6 terms at $500 each, which amount to $6,000. The remaining funds were given to the Clovis-Carver Nonprofit Corporation through a grant from the High Plains Community Development Corporation, and those scholarships were $2,000 each. 2 scholarships each year for $2,000, and the recipients, so that they had to apply. Diana and Ann Shuckman and I reviewed the applications. We had a rubric where we scored them, and the applications were based on academic merit, rank in class, scores on both ACT and or SAT, extracurricular activities in school, current plans, future plans, and what they hope to do in the future. Each year we had between 14 and 16 young people apply for them. I have their names, and they're unique. So you had to be going to a 4-year school. You have to be in Curry counties that included Clovis, Clovis Christian, Grady, Melrose, and Texaco. So in April of each year, I put out a big cry for, go see your guidance counselor. These scholarships are available. In 2019, both of them came from Grady, and they were Jessa Reed and Timmy and Northcutt. In 2020, they both came from Texaco. They were Riley Thompson and Sydney Waller. In 2021, they were both from Clovis High School, and they were Danielle Griego and Michaela Snyder. So I had enough money we had enough funds to give 2 more scholarships this past year for $1,500 each. And those scholarships went to 2 Clovis High School students that are both studying nursing. One is Mackenzie Smith, and the other is Hannah Gallegos. And so that included or finished up that funding for the Victims Impact Memorial monies. And I think, looking back, I think the $30,000 was used wisely. Excuse me. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years, and appropriately. So, do you have questions about that? Do you have questions about any of the monies?
Doesn't seem to be any questions, but I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was such a sad day for our city. And, but it's wonderful as to what we were able to do on behalf of the two
agree.
women.
I agree.
mean, to be able to give the scholarships.
Generosity and the love of this community for this library.
And I have to say the portraits in the library are beautiful, very well done. So, was money very well spent.
I think so too. Thank you.
Okay, move down to the final report on the landscaping budget.
I already did that with the Valley Trench.
Oh,
So
you already-
that's
okay,
done.
that-
Yeah,
got
that's
that
pretty much
done?
done.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Move down to your librarian's report.
So I expressed this in the April meeting, and I think we could use the end of COVID as our jumping off place. We have seen attendance rise. We have seen library patrons rise. We have seen activities rise. And our summer program that lasts June through July is indicative of that. In June, we had 18 programs for adults and with 108 attendees. We had 22 programs for children, and this is just in June, with 708 attendees. And they range, we have movies Monday for kids and adults. And in the evening, we had Andy Mason here. We have a Lego club on Tuesday afternoons. One Tuesday afternoon, we had 59 kids in our Lego club, and there were Legos flying right and left. I need red, I need black. We had Andy Mason. We had the zoo come. It's just been a phenomenal start to our summer reading program, which again shows that COVID is over and we're back to being who we are and what we believe in. One program that was so successful years ago when Rachel Meeks was the children's librarian was a stuffed animal sleepover. So children brought their stuffed animals, left them overnight. Ashley, my children's youth coordinator, propped them up after hours doing jumping over each other and looking at books, and a snake reading to another snake with a book, and making all kinds of fun things. We had 49 stuffed animals in June.
Wow.
And they came the next day and picked up, they had a little pamphlet that showed what their animals did. We also had the same program in July. So, that just shows fantastic programming. We had a Chautauqua programming focusing on 3 women of the Wild West. I was out of town, so I don't know how wild they were. Randy Dunson, who's a railroad aficionado, came and spoke about the Berlin cutoff. All those programs were very successful. In late May, early June, Scott Jones, my circulation supervisor, and I met with Stephen Rickman, the new IT person, to kind of get a foot in the door as to what the library is lacking in technology. Some of our concerns include software upgrades on our public use computers, a cordless phone in circulation, a computer that's been down and out for a while, various things like that. I have to admit that having that conversation with him and with Scott proved to be very, very fruitful. I would say that about 75% of our concerns are already being met. So that was productive and wonderful to know that he's that committed to being that proactive in terms of the library. I don't know if the library was the first department to meet with him, but I was proud that we got to do that and get our foot in the door in a lot of things. Our Friends of the Library is ongoing Gray Guns. Our Friends of the Library President, Sarah Stevens, is here. In the last year and a half, we have gained momentum. We have about 65 members. About. They had successful book sales throughout the year. They had one in the spring that was so successful that now they have a ongoing book sale in front of circulation with rotating books in and out. The books are $2 a piece. Oh, what did I say? $2 for $1. I'm sorry, $2 for $1. And all the funding that they acquire goes to help fund our programming. So we're very thankful to have a very active and successful Friends of the Library group. So we received a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services for the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $17,828. These funds have to be used, are geared for providing or acquiring materials based on people in need. So some of the things I'm looking for are test books online, books on writing resumes, career books, things of that nature that will focus on helping them help themselves. Those monies have to be spent by the end of September. We finally received our 2020 Go Bond allotment in the amount of $65,556.70. These funds have to be used for things that are used directly in terms of patron services. So I cannot buy new office chairs for my staff, but I can buy new chairs for my public. One of the things I'm looking at, and I have looked at it over the past, is lobby furniture. We need some lobby furniture. That money must be spent by 2024. And of course, the 5th anniversary of the shooting is coming up at the end of August. To date, we haven't explored any way of remembering that date, nor I don't know if we need to. I don't know. It's been 5 years, like you said, it was just yesterday. That concludes my report. I do have some interesting reference questions. Who was Antonia Apodaca? Iris, you're up.
I don't know. It's in my brain somewhere, that filing
You need
system.
She was an American musician and songwriter best known for her performance of traditional New Mexico music. Have we ever had a gay president?
I don't think so.
So that question came during Pride Month. So Buchanan was apparently never married. He was engaged for a short period of time, but his fiancée died. Several writers have surmised that he was perhaps gay or maybe just celibate. But in Buchanan's terms, he just had a lack of ardent and romantic affection for anyone. So there you go. The last question was, a patron was looking for information on the event where his friends first met for their 40th wedding anniversary. They only knew that their first date was on a hot day at an air show in 1981. So my reference librarians, they found out that it happened on April 28th during an air show that was held the April 28th through April 30th at Cannon. And that concludes my report. You also have, in your packet, you also have a community analysis and assessment. This is just information that I provide to the state library every 5 years. And I can discuss how it differs from 5 years ago. But I think because of COVID, our world has kind of been stagnant for the last 2 or 3 years. So the numbers have not really changed. But I've given 5 year ago data and data today. And it talks about what languages are used in Clovis, what are the biggest 3 employers of Clovis, dairies. We have 27 dairies in Curry County. And it's liable to increase by 12% in the next 5 years. I don't know where they're going to put them.
Wow.
In Curry County. 16.4% of families in Clovis and Curry County live below the poverty level, which is sad. We don't have very much of a transient population. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting to know kind of what's going on in our city and in our community. Yeah. So that really concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you, good report.
Thank you.
You know, and something you mentioned a minute ago of that horrible day. You know, I don't want us to ever forget the two women and the people that were injured, but I don't want to remember that day.
I know.
You know, so I'm not sure that's something we want to bring back
Right.
to the memories of
So
people.
I remember at the first anniversary, we decided that Justin and some other people, some city commissioners, a couple of ministers would come and talk a little bit, and the library had, of course, been reopened, but I invited people in to come in and see the portraits of Chrissy and Wanda. Some patron called and said, "So is there going to be cake and ice cream and refreshments?" And I was kind of aghast. I was like, I didn't know how to answer her.
Yeah, that's
So,
not something you celebrate,
No, it's not a
It's-
celebration.
no.
I mean,
not at all.
it's more.
Like I
it's
say,
like
I
you
think it's
said,
something you want to
Commissioner, it's a
remember,
sad
and I
day.
think,
You want to remember. You don't want to forget.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of a tough thing,
it is a tough thing.
so.
Yeah, unless you want to do some kind of a moment of silence or
We do that every
a
year.
vigil or something.
Yeah, we do that
you
every
know.
year from like 4:08 to 4:15. That on that day.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
appropriate and nice, but I don't think it should I wouldn't think going farther than that,
Yeah,
you know.
like you said, we don't want to forget.
Also, I mean, to be honest, there's so much gun violence in the news right now that, I mean, not to minimize 5 years ago, but also trying to do something might, I don't know. I think
know.
it's just a difficult climate right now for
I think it is too.
anything
Laura,
dealing
exactly.
with that, so I don't know. I think it
Yes.
would be hard.
Burrows?
And Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Sandoval, members of the Clovis-Carver Library Board, just to let you know, for those of you that don't know, I know the commissioners do, the City Commission is working with Quay County, DeVaca, Roosevelt, Curry, the City of Portales, and the Village of Fort Sumner. They've just completed a behavioral health feasibility study. And so we're now moving on to the next phase of that, which would be to design, plan a behavioral health facility. I think we're looking for 98 inpatient, outpatient facility here in our area to help people who have behavioral health issues and challenges. So that's some proactive steps that we're taking as a community to address some behavioral health needs that we have throughout the United States of America. And I concur with what you were saying, ma'am. I think that a moment's silence as a group would be very appropriate. Chrissy and Wanda are with us always, and we will never forget that day. And I think that we never should, and I think we should always remember them.
Thank you, I agree.
And in a public arena like that at the library or wherever, I think we should do something. Just if it's like you've been doing, Ms. Hinchy, having that time of silence,
Right.
inviting the public if they'd like to
Be present.
participate in that, yes. Thank you.
Claire, can I add just a couple of things to that? First of all, on the mental health facility, the governor was here. Just to let everybody know that the governor was here, and the governor is on board, gave us state money, and our legislators donated quite a bit of money, so it is on track and moving well. And something that I wanted to mention that I remember more is I'd like to say that it's a day to celebrate the lives of those two beautiful women, because it's etched in my memory, and I can still see their faces. And I was very, very blessed that they were just so nice to me. I considered them family. So it is a celebration of their life in that respect.
That's true. That's true. Thank you. Any other thoughts, comments, ideas? Nope. Okay, we'll move forward with that. And thank you, Claire, for bringing up the feasibility study. I think that's important to bring up and let
It's a
everybody know about.
proactive step. As you know, Mayor Pro Tem, in addressing the gun violence, oftentimes it comes from somewhere other than, it comes from behavioral health challenges. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move down for the good of the order. Does anybody have anything they would like to discuss or anything they've heard throughout the community regarding the library?
I was just gonna say, I tried to get my teenagers to bring their stuffed animals for the sleepover, but they wouldn't do it,
We
so.
would have come to pick them up.
But I did, my husband and I did attend one of the the Tai Chi program here, and yeah, and it was amazing. So kudos to you and your staff for just an awesome selection of programs for the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, your staff does an amazing job, and, you know, I've come in a few times, and they're always busy with patrons and answering questions, and, you know, there's always people in the library.
They are.
There's always people here.
You know, and
So it's good to
whenever
see.
I have the opportunity, which I don't have to do very often, to hire somebody new, you know, some of these young women that I have hired, they come in, they say, Margaret, I know nothing about library services. And my answer to them is, our number one business here is customer service. You treat them well, you find out what they need, you ask for help if you need help, and you accommodate to the patron. And what I used to do in my years of being an academic librarian and a school librarian, my adage was never let them see you sweat. I told my staff, I said, you know, if I'm not here and you have a question about something, figure it out. We'll make, you know, if I have to call a person and apologize or commend someone for doing that, I will. I'm proud of my staff too. Thank you. I think we do a phenomenal service.
Well, you definitely put the right people in the right place, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, date and time of the next meeting is Monday, October 31st. And our nonprofit corporation meeting is actually after this meeting tonight. And so with that, we are adjourned.
So really, the people that need to stay for